Okay, before we hop into your session, I'm going to go over a couple things just to answer any questions that you might have beforehand. So before we connected, I pulled you some oracle cards. We won't go over them in the session, but I will send you pictures and their guidebook descriptions because that'll be a deeper level of messaging. And then I asked each one of your chakras what kind of crystals would help with their healing and growth. And I built you a crystal grid. And so I'll send you a picture of that as well. And then I will have the replay of the session to you later this evening. Does that sound okay?
It sounds perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So when I looked at your notes, I saw I was like, oh, can we talk about it closer to the session because energy and things are always changing. So that's great. I did, however, sit down with your higher self before we got started and ask if there was anything that you needed to know or anything come forward. And she left me some notes here, so we'll talk about those in a minute. But is there anything that you would like to speak about specifically, or any questions that you have, or what would you like to focus on?
Well, I feel like the biggest struggle I'm having right now is in my relationship with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I just, my whole world has been changed and my beliefs have been restructured and now I just have such a deep understanding of how we are all one and I don't know, there's just something like my husband is just struggling mentally so bad with depression and the stuff that he's going through. And it's just like, I don't know, there's a part of me that sees how good and amazing and how like we are meant for each other and we've been together for a long time. I know that. And then the other part of me that's just like, okay, I just like want to give up, like, because he's not getting on board with it. Like, it's like, how does he still not realize that this is a video game and we're all creating it? Like, oh my gosh. So it's like,
Yeah.
how long do I keep holding hope? Like, I don't know. Because I've never been happier in my life. Like, everything is going so wonderful. And yeah, so it's just like, and he is just so miserable every day. It's like, how can I be this happy and he's this miserable? I don't understand.
Yes. Okay. Uh, one moment. Okay. Here. Okay. So what I'm hearing, I'm going to close my eyes sometimes while you're talking. So I'm not asleep or not paying attention, so I can hear you more clearly with my spiritual ears, if that makes sense. I was like, oh, I should probably tell her that because I was closing my eyes a second ago. Okay. So,
It's okay.
so what I'm hearing is, hey, we're really happy in all these other aspects of our life. However, we wish that our person, our partner was available for us to share the things that we are discovering and that we are falling in love with, and that we are rediscovering in self.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, do we have anybody else in our life who can serve as that type of person?
Well, with like my sister,
Mm-hmm.
she's 12 years older than me. She's probably who I feel the most connected to. Oh my gosh, me and her went to Walmart the other day
Mm-hmm.
and the synchronicities were
Oh, yeah.
insane.
Yeah. They're like
Literally,
flowing with each other.
yes, our
Yeah.
totals our total at the end, we literally had the same four numbers just rearranged.
Oh,
Like I
cool.
could
Okay.
not believe it. Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, "Oh my gosh." But yeah, so my sister, I really get along with her and vibe with her like that.
Mm-hmm. What about anybody else in our life?
I'd say, I mean, I can tell my mom and talk to my mom about anything
Okay.
and her judgment, I'm able to just really ignore. Like she doesn't like affect me because honestly my mom and my husband are pretty much the same person, but I don't have to sleep next to my mom and I can just really just like, okay, mom, whatever, ignore her. It's harder to ignore my husband.
Yes. Okay. So, do we have anybody, and it sounds kind of like your sister, but anybody whom we can speak freely to about things with no judgment. And that we can talk to about the spiritual woo things that we want to discuss. And maybe your sister is that for you, but how far of an extension is that with your sister?
Um, I mean, it's pretty deep. She knows, she's been through a lot. Um, yeah, but really there's nobody else. I mean, just you and the community that I used to, like, that is like the most of it. I mean, I guess I don't have like another girlfriend or anything that I really am close to.
Yes. Okay. So, what steps are we taking to embed ourselves in more communities? Because sometimes when people are going on their spiritual awakening journey, like you and many other people, myself, and we have our partners whom are not on the same trajectory as us, we tend to hyper focus on them and want to like drag them to where we're going, right? When they're not exactly ready to do that, or they're not going to decide to do that. And it leaves this big void space within us because we hang out with them all the time. Like that's our person, right? And we want to feel seen, heard, and understood by them. But if that's not where they're at in life, we have to supplement that in other areas somehow. Like if we're pointing all of
Yeah.
our energy and intention on him, right? And it sounds like you have your sister to kind of buff that like a little bit, but if we're pointing so much energy and attention on him and the dissonance that's between y'all right now, because you're over here with consciousness and he's kind of over here doing his thing, both of you are very intensely feeling that dissonance because you are pointing all of your energy and attention on him. You're like, why aren't you doing this? You know, and I think some of that's because we don't have somebody to offload that to, especially because you're neurospicy and you probably like to hyper focus on things, and spirituality has become a hyper focus, hyper focusing on self, but also,
Mhm.
you know, esoteric things. And it's like, I need to get this out. I need to, I have to tell somebody about this so that I can learn and grow and so that we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other. It almost feels like you're having, and I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, okay, but you're having a little bit of a resentment towards him because you are not able to have the things that you need spiritually. Does that make sense? It's like, why can't you meet me here in what I need? But
Yeah.
his consciousness level is not there right now. Okay. So we have to find persons to
Yeah.
help kind of fill that gap. And that, and we'll talk about him in a second, but let's just say that he's on his path where he's headed. Okay. So if that's the case, if we're taking some of that energy and attention off of him, it's going to loosen that pressure up a little bit. Okay. And you're getting fulfilled over here more. And that might actually bring some harmonization because he's not going to feel that kind of mom pressure. Like, hey, I need you to mature, I need you
Yeah.
to response, you know, all these different things like spiritually wise. So that's why your higher self is saying, hey, what steps are we taking to fill that kind of void space over here?
Okay.
does
Yeah,
that,
that
does
makes a
that
lot
make
of
sense?
sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I guess kind of like this whole journey, it's been like, yeah, it's been me by myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
And sometimes it's difficult to grow when you don't have peers to be speaking to because it's just you in your own head and just going through these
yeah.
and when you have brain coherence with other people and you're having conversations and you're feeling that feeling of being seen, heard, and validated, you're able to accelerate your growth. And it kind of sounds right now that you've been feeling a little bit stuck as well, not just in your reality, but just spiritually kind of stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So I want you to envision that he's standing over here And here's you. And you're just pointing so much energy and attention to him about this, right? Where if we were redirecting that in some type of way over here towards somebody else and we're getting fulfillment, you're not going to be as concerned about what he's doing over here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It
Okay.
does.
Right.
And I and
Go ahead.
and I think the other thing, well, because I'm so busy working and I'm
Yeah.
like trying to well, I've got a new job I'm
Oh,
working two
exciting.
jobs right now.
Okay.
Like, so I feel like I'm so focused on making money
Mm-hmm.
all the time, and I don't like that. Because like, I mean, I truly feel like now I believe I see money as currency, and the energy that I'm putting out is the energy that I'm getting back. But so like, of course, like my whole reframes around money is changing, but it's still like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the world that we live in revolves around money, so we have to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Okay.
so I'm making new friends in the new job that I'm in, but I'm thinking like, is that going to be fulfilling like what you're talking about? But maybe not. Maybe I should still keep trying to find something else. I don't know.
Yes. So one of the reasons that you are hyper focused on money right now and we're hyper focused on the husband is because we're not getting a fulfillment for our soul things that we're interested in. So we're not having enough fuel to raise our frequency to a place where we don't care about money as much or we don't care about husband as much, right? We're finding these kind of, and those are all real things. Like those are real things that are happening. Like you're having to work two jobs and have this income come in. And then we have husband over here who's doing his thing. Okay. But if you were having this part of your life over here, because it's such a fundamental part of you that you have reawakened, if you were finding a little bit more fulfillment and joy in this area, it would really lighten the load over here in your finances and over with your husband. Because now, if we are getting that fulfillment, we're going to be in a completely different vibration and frequency and are able to look at those two aspects of our life in a completely different lens because now we're a different version of Caroline. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is,
Yeah, I
oh, we
think
can see
so.
things with fresh eyes, new perspectives, like all of these different things because your consciousness and where you're at in your spiritual journey has been on kind of like hold and pause like a little bit because we don't have anyone to help us kind of get up that ladder. And that doesn't necessarily mean intelligence or anything like that, more so who is pouring into Caroline. Who Caroline is not having somebody
Yeah.
else pour into her. You know what I mean? Like we're outpouring to so many things, but we're not getting that receptively back, right? So that could look like a lot of different ways that you could get it. And I know it's difficult right now because I have been in the place that you're in, okay, where it's like I was a single mom and working all these jobs and like I feel like I didn't have time for anything. I was so tired and exhausted. But I had to, and you're doing this. This was me back in the day, okay? I had to say, you know what? I have to refocus on myself. I have to do things for me. Otherwise, there are literally no changes that are going to happen because I was kind of just spinning the wheels of like outpouring and outpouring and outpouring and outpouring. And it just wasn't getting me anywhere. Right. So getting in contact with some other spiritual beings. Okay. So if you know the Discord, the cosmic community Discord,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that would love to just have conversations of like, hey, would
Yeah.
anybody love to hop on like a 30-minute phone call with me? Right? Like there's already some resources in there. But if you do some research on your own time of where are some spiritual communities that I can get involved in, even if they're just like online groups or meetups or support groups, or, there's lots of different accesses that we can find. I can help you find some too. But we need to be having some type of conversations with people about spirituality in and of itself, because I can see in your energetic field where it's like we are just not getting fulfilled in this area, and it's leaving us very drained. And that's affecting all these other areas of our life because we're just like, what is the point? I'm so hyper focused on this stuff with money and this stuff with my job and this stuff with my husband and all these different things, while at the same time not getting the fuel that you need to traverse through that stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it makes a lot of sense because I'd say probably from like December to about March is when I was just really going through it alone,
Mhm.
just trying to, like, trying to unlock all the things, figure out all the things,
Mhm.
and figure out what I'm doing. And then it was like I kind of had to just take a break from it because I wasn't getting anywhere. Well, but what I learned was I just had to keep telling myself was I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I know exactly what I'm supposed to know right now. Like, because I remember the first time I ever talked to you, I
Mhm.
just kept thinking like, I want to know it all. Like, why don't I know it
Yeah.
all? Like, so I feel like I've kind of gotten over that feeling and I'm just more accepting of like, okay, it is what it is. I'm here right now because I'm supposed to be. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense as to why. And I'm glad I kind of backed off from it, because I had to focus on other things. But but that makes a lot of sense that I need somebody else.
Yeah, you just need, and your higher self isn't sitting here because this is actually part of the notes that we're going to read in a minute, but she's not saying like, hey, you need to do all this work. It's more so who we need a support team. We need persons who can really see us and understand where we are headed, because you probably feel cuckoo right now because there's not really a
Oh
whole
yeah.
other people that are validating the new earth paradigm that you are in, that you have already moved over to, shifted over to, especially because, well, we're not counting your kids, okay, but your like partner is not exactly there. Maybe your sister's not exactly where you're at either, and your mom's not. And so, and the people at your job are not either. So that can be a very lonely and isolating feeling because it's like, okay, well, I guess it's just me, right? It's not, but we have to surround ourselves with more persons who are going to make us feel like, oh no, I'm on the path I'm meant to be on. And your higher self is saying too, you are exactly where you need to be. You do have all the things. Like all of that stuff is the truth. Okay. What we need though is someone who
Hmm.
persons who are supporting us in our dreams and our goals and our visions, even if it's just them listening to us, like holding space. And sometimes that's just having a conversation with somebody who's very like-minded and on a similar trek in the new earth paradigm,
Yeah.
right? And I have to be a whole discussion about it. It's just having conversations with people who are on a similar vibration and frequency, because when you have those conversations, it's so incredibly, you could be even talking about trauma. Y'all could be talking about trauma, okay? But when you're on that similar vibe, it really uplifts you so much and it recenters you. And it's like, okay, I can keep going because now I've anchored in and solidified, like it's not just me. I'm not out just here alone. There's so many of us that are moving forward. And it feels really good to have someone tell you sometimes, like, hey, you're very magical, you're loved, you're safe, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna make it to the other side together. We already are on the other side of the New Earth paradigm, okay? Because you're already there. But we need reminders and check-ins. And so higher self is saying, like, hey, if we want to find our soul tribe members so that we can um accelerate's not the right word, but if we want to move down our path a little bit quicker and feel more fulfilled and be able to handle these other situations in our life easier, like the money stuff, the husband stuff, all these different things, we can't just be out here by ourselves. Like everybody has to have a community and a collective. And your higher self is saying, this is the chapter of your life now of like, hey, we need to actively be seeking soul tribe members. Like they don't always just show up at your door. Sometimes they do. Okay. But we also have to make that a priority, because I don't think that's been a priority, because you're busy, you take care of a lot of people, maybe a little shy. Okay. Of like reaching out to people, and probably hyper independence, because that's probably what you've had to do for so long. But in order for you to receive a lot more blessings in your life, sometimes we're going through the karmic lesson of, I need support. I cannot do this on my own. I don't want to do it on my own. Like, I need other persons to help lift me up, because I'm lifting up so many other people. What comes up for you when I say that?
Sorry, I'm crying now,
Oh,
but
it's
like,
okay. Okay.
because I know everything you're saying, it makes sense, but I guess I just feel like there's a part of me that's like, no, like I can do it on my own, and right now I'm like, why do I feel that? That's what I've always
Oh,
felt.
that's just childhood trauma. Okay. That's just remnants of programming and capitalism and all this stuff. So when we're looking at ourselves through this lens, okay, we need to understand that that is all stuff that has been put on us and that we have been programmed with, and trauma. That's not actually how we really feel deep down inside. Like, all of us really pine for community and for others to uplift and support us, and for us to be a tribe. But all of these things that have happened throughout history and capitalism, all these other things, create separateness, right? That's what they're trying to do with the light workers and all these other people, because they know how much power there is in us supporting one another. So your higher self is saying, hey, let's not feel guilty about being aware of us not wanting to be around other people, because that's just simply trauma and programming. And when we feel guilty about something, that's not our fault. That's just furthering the issue. So one, just accepting like, hey, it's okay that I feel that way. It's okay that I have resistance to that. Like, if we just accept the resistance, then that will go ahead and start deprogramming that, right? And saying like, hey, it's kind of scary sometimes, like outreaching to people, because sometimes we have a fear of rejection, or we feel like we're going to be a burden, all these different things. Everybody feels the same way as you, Caroline. Like, everybody has those feelings. And it is your multidimensional forms position to say, I know that this is scary and it goes against everything that we have ever been taught or programmed, but I want to be in a reality where I don't have to do all this stuff on my own. I want people to bless me and compliment me and gift me and tell me how amazing I am and remind me and help me activate my spiritual gifts, and do all these wonderful things that we're going to be able to do together, right? Because we don't want to be alone. That's the issue right now, is you feel alone. So we don't want that. We actually want the opposite, but it's the programming and trauma that's telling us different, right? So this is where your higher self is coming in and saying, we have to be self-aware of that wounding, but do it anyway. Because your inner children and your teens have been hurt a lot by other people. And so there are these really intense fears of like, well, how detrimental is it going to be if a spiritual person hurts me? Then I'm really alone. Like, if I can't even fit in with spiritual persons, then that's like a huge rejection. But that's not what's going to happen. Like, those are your people. Those are the people, those are the people that get it. Okay. They are on a whole different vibration and frequency of life, and they want the same things. They want that collective, they want that tribe, they want to uplift one another and compliment and bless and support. But you won't see that until you olive branch. And the reason I'm saying this is because I've been in the exact same place where I was so hyper independent and so anti people helping me and reaching out to persons, where when I decided to olive branch and start finding my soul tribe members, it was the biggest blessing. And I wish I had done it sooner, but all in divine timing. But it feels wonderful to be taken care of. It's very difficult to work through that in the beginning, but once that happens, it's like, wow, I should have been allowing this in my life the whole entire time. It is, I'm starting to tear up now.
Oh,
But it is difficult to allow others to take care of you when you've had to take care of yourself for so long. I totally understand, especially because you are taking care of so many people right now. But it is so incredibly freeing when you can take a little bit of that ego hit of hyper independence because your ego is really fighting you on this right now and be like, I don't care if you are upset about us needing to ask other people for support. We are going to do it anyway. Because I know on the other side of that is what I've been seeking. That soul fulfillment, the community, the collective support, people loving me, people seeing me, people understanding me. So we're going to do it irregardless. I'll hold your hand while we're doing it. Okay. Like I know you're scared talking to your ego and your inner children, your teens. We're going to do it anyway because I cannot stay in this identity that I am right now because this identity is about to crash and burn. And I know that you are super, super happy about all these other different places in your life and everything's going great. But we can see where it's starting to get real negative in some areas, right? And so we have to call in a support team to help us because one, we can't see our own blind spots. Like other people need to be like, hey, well, have you thought about this? Are you doing this? Kind of like what we're doing now, right? But but that can be on
yeah.
a friendship level as well, or like, hey, I've gone through this in my life. Let me give you some tools and resources. Like you can only get to where you're going by yourself for so long. Like think about all the people that are like really thriving in life. They have like a team of people that are around them. They're not solo doloing it. So
Yeah.
there's got to be some point that Caroline says, I'm tired of doing this myself. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to do that to myself. I am going to look these hyper independence wounds in the face and I'm going to say, we're not doing that anymore. And then we're going to slowly start olive branching. Like, hey, does anybody in the Discord or wherever you go, y'all want to have a 30-minute conversation about spirituality, metaphysics, or whatever? And I guarantee you somebody will be like, okay. Or I can even hook you up with some people. But it only takes 2 or 3 times for you to really say, this is exactly what I was looking for. This is what I need in my life.
Yeah.
Now I'm not so concerned with this money over here and this job and husband and all these things. All that stuff's going to work itself out because I'm in my new identity now with a higher perspective and support. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense, and I literally feel a weight lifted as you were talking. And I kind of think that that's probably what my problem with my husband is that I'm not accepting the support because I just think that I can do it all on my own. Like that it makes so much sense now.
Well, sometimes it's difficult to accept help from others who have not helped us in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's like, okay, well, right. So there's some like old biases that are there. Um, because we've had conversations prior about things. And so I know that that's been the case in the past. It's getting better, but uh
Yeah.
sometimes we do need to put on new lenses and blank slate things with people in order to see if that person is actually wanting to do what they're saying they're wanting to do. So if your husband's coming in and saying, let me help you with these things, I know it's difficult sometimes, but we have to say, I am the new Caroline. I accept help from others whom I trust and whom I respect. Okay, not just anybody, because some people do have nefarious things, okay? Like, manipulative and things like that. But from people who genuinely want to love and support you, we have to blank slate everything that has happened with him prior with that not helping previously and say, yes, I would love for you to help me. Even if
Yeah.
it is not perfect and it's halfway done, it's it's still okay. Let's say that he helps you with something and it's only halfway done. Well, at least half of it's done, and then you can come back and do the other half, and that's saving you time and energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so is helpful at least, you know, at least however much it is. Okay, but I'm gonna give you a bigger cosmic understanding of this as well. So I was really, really frustrated with my finances and just other areas of my life, and the universe was saying, you don't allow anyone to help you. Why would you allow us to help you either? Like my higher self and my guides, because oftentimes they're trying to help us through people. Like they're communicating and they're offering like, you know, connections and experiences and like all these different things. Like money can come through in so many different ways. But if you're carrying this energetics within you of, I don't want support from anyone or anything, you're blocking so many things from coming into your energy fields.
Yeah. Okay. That
So
makes a
we,
lot of sense.
right. So we need to continue to work on. I love support in my life. I love
Yeah.
people helping me. I love people blessing me. I love people giving me things and complimenting me. Like, oh, amazing. I'm worthy of that. I'm deserving of that. I'm an amazing person because you are. Like, you really know that deep down inside, even though your ego, sometimes your inner children tell you differently, the drama and stuff. But I know that when you look deep down inside of your soul, you're like, I'm an amazing person. So we need
Yeah.
to bring that up to the forefront of course I get support. Of course I get help. Of course I get blessings because I'm amazing. That's okay to say that. It doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you don't have to do anything. But Caroline, you have proved that you are so incredibly strong. Okay, we already proved that. What else are we trying to prove with our hyper independence? Like you're literally have been through a lot of struggle, okay? And you've proved that you are resilient. So what else is there to prove there?
Yeah.
And this is coming from your higher self. Okay. Your higher self. So hopefully, like sometimes higher self is very direct with the way that they're speaking. So I'm like, hey. So she's like, hey, you have had kind of this energetics running of everything has to be really difficult so that I can prove my worthiness. Well, you already proved it. So what now?
Yeah.
So why are we continuing that paradigm of like, okay, well, why can't life just be easy? Why are we not willing to accept the help from others or the support?
Yeah. I honestly feel better already, and it's just making me feel like the job that I got and I'm trying to get into, I'm just feeling like even more that it's the right place. I'm doing exactly because when I was trying to, figure out this whole income money
Mhm.
situation, I remember I talked to this one woman who like helps coaches and helps people, build their business. And she like asked me, she's like, "Well, why aren't you just doing something for yourself?" And I like immediately said, I was like, "Well, because I realized that there's other people out there that are already successful doing something and that they need help and that I could help them to build my success right now in this moment because like I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to do everything on my own."
Mhm.
So I've been thinking back on that conversation I had with that lady, and I feel like that was like, steps in this right direction, like
Mhm.
that I know this. I know that, there's other people out there that can help me, and I just got to be willing and accepting. And I feel like I definitely am, or else I wouldn't even have landed this position that I've gotten right now.
Mhm.
So I know that it's, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's just the final remnants too, Caroline. Like you're so on the other side of this already because that's why we're even having this conversation in the first place. Like it's all at the surface so that you can let go. Your higher self
yeah.
is just saying, hey, we have to take a more active role in investing in ourselves, and you are like you're doing things, but we need other people in our life that are not just our husband and our sister and our mom and our kids and our
Yeah.
coworkers. Like we have to start really interjecting ourselves into the collective in whatever way that means, whether that's having conversations with people, whether it means you starting your own group, maybe you even like sometimes people are only wanting to talk to spiritual people, where there's also a lot of other avenues. Like you could join a hiking group or an art class. I know you work all the time, but even one time a month, okay, is great. But joining like a hiking group or an art class, or volunteering somewhere, something where there's people doing high vibrational things together. Sometimes it doesn't always have to be talking about spiritual woo stuff. It can also be like, I'm just going to get around high vibe people. Or if you have like a metaphysical store around you and they have cool classes, like community classes, or just even online, like finding different groups that you can be a part of and interact with. Or like, not everything is also like, I know with the money thing, not everything costs things. Like there's a lot of people that put on events, especially Lightworkers and empaths, where it's like, oh no, we're just going to come together and have like spiritual chat talks.
Yeah.
But right now, what we need to do is put on those lenses of search mode, because that's been on the back burner. And so it hasn't been presently conscious up here. And so you're not looking for it. So that's what we need to do today. Okay. Is say, this is a top priority for me. Because when you do that, all of a sudden, all these experiences and opportunities start coming forward. And when they start coming forward, that's going to be the time for you to take action steps of saying yes, or interjecting yourself somewhere and seeing where it takes you. So if you say that over yourself today of like, I am my priority. This new reality where I'm headed, and I'm at least taking my kids on that. Okay. And your sister, I have to invest more in me with this. And that means that I need more support. I need a community, I need a collective. And so this is what I'm going to start focusing on, because when you start getting that support, Caroline, the money stuff is also going to start remedying itself, because now we're open to support from other places and spaces. Now we have new energy coming in, because now we're making new connections. Now we're having new perspectives, because we're a new Caroline, we're a new identity that has open receptivity of abundance in many different forms. Our relationship with our husband is going to get better. I'm not saying that he's necessarily going to get on the ascension train, okay, because we don't know that, but it will get better in multitudes of layers, because one, not all men, but I would think with him, they are providers and they want to help. They want to fix things for you. So if we are allowing him to do that, and then you're coming back and praising him for that and saying, oh my gosh, I love so much that you've been helping, and just like really pouring into that of like allowing him to help you, that's going to help him feel better. And it's going to take all that super intense energy that you're pointing at him of like, hey, I need you to get on this consciousness journey. We don't need to do that, because now we have this going on over here. He's going to feel some of that pressure come off, and you're going to be happier. And when you're happier, he's happier. And he's going to say, why is she so happy? What is she doing? I want to get involved in that. Okay. Because that's what happens. Okay. People around us are like, what's going on with them? Let me figure out. And that's going to help lift his vibration and frequency. So it really can shift everything, like everything in your life, if you have more support for yourself and what you're wanting to do. And it doesn't have to be anything drastic. Your higher self is like literally get on a phone call with people, or like join a Zoom group. Like it doesn't have to be this big monumental ta-da. It can be, hey, let's take these little action steps and see how good that makes us feel. And then we're going to want to keep doing that. And it's going to expand and expand and expand. And now all of a sudden, Caroline is in a completely different reality, because you're making, you're doing, making choices that is in congruence with the identity that you want to be.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
What questions do you have about that?
Um, I don't think I have any questions. I also feel like this job that I have, it's in it's in real estate house flipping.
Ooh, fun.
So it's
Okay.
like, yeah, it's like a community of, people who have been doing this, and they're
Yeah.
all like my team or whatever, my trainer, I guess you could say, like they're all just so that they're high vibe, and like I love it. I think that
That's great.
maybe
Good.
maybe not spiritually like I'm gonna get what you're saying, but I
Mhm.
think like mindset wise, because they're always talking about mindset stuff.
Love that.
So I do feel like, yeah, and that's what I was saying. I think I know that I'm in the right spot.
Yeah, and that also shows how what you've been doing is paying off to even pull like something like that in.
I know, that's what I've been saying.
Hmm.
Because like, so I've got this job and I've been working it a couple weeks now. I haven't made a single any money yet, but it's like just the fact that I got this job, I'm in with these people, like it's just a great community of people. Yeah, like I know it's coming. I keep saying like this week's gonna be the week that I'm gonna make some money. So
Today is the day. Caroline, you need to be
yeah,
saying that every day.
today.
Today
Yep.
is the day. I am open to receiving support from the universe and whomever would like to send me support. And listen, sometimes because you have like financial money wound stuff going on, sometimes the universe will check you and it's really you. Okay. It's not even the universe, the universe is checking your higher
Yeah.
self and stuff and saying like, are you going to accept this compliment from this person? Are you going to accept them asking if they can do the dishes for you or, whatever? Because they're like, okay, well, if you can do that, then we will send you this other stuff.
Yeah.
That was a huge turn point in my journey was like, oh, once I start accepting things from people like that, then I have a lot more money come in. Okay. And so
Yeah.
they're correlated with one another. So I love that you're in that position because that's a great sign that we're headed up. Okay. And then every day, this is the day where I
Mhm.
choose to open my channels to infinite flows of abundance, monetarily and any other type of abundance that wants to come my way. And I am willing and open to accept that.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. I am going to go over these notes because there's some things that your higher self wanted to relate to you as well. And they're kind of having to do with this as well. With your husband, I know that you wanted to kind of talk about y'all's dynamics and how to traverse that because he's not understanding programming in the matrix and like all these different things. So he's like real steeped into that. Okay. Your higher self is saying that it would be more beneficial for you to go this route. It's going to save you a lot of time and energy, and it's going to save him a lot of time and energy for you to depressurize and stop pointing so much energy and attention at him and just focus on your own happiness over here instead of having to drag him. Because when you shift into that, Caroline, you're not going to care about what's going on over here with him. Like, well, yes, we like you love him and you want him to be on the same path, but the reason that you are so deeply wanting him to be on the path with you is because you don't have anybody else that's on the path. And if you have more people who are on there with you, we're not going to be as concerned about that, and you will be able to integrate with him more in the 3D stuff and be a little bit more happy in those realms with him and allow him to do this in his divine timing and alignment, which honestly I think that he will hop on that train with you eventually. How long that's going to be, we don't know. And are you going to stick it out that long? We don't know that either. Right? It just depends, right? How long you want it, how long. But your higher self is like, hey, if you can shift into this new identity over here, you might end up shifting onto a timeline where he is getting his stuff together.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you're
Okay.
getting your stuff together at such a rapid space that if you end up one day deciding like, hey, this is not in resonance with me anymore, you will have a strong enough foundation to shift dynamics and go off on your own.
Yeah.
But we have to stop putting so much energy and attention on dragging him, because that's just creating more chaos and dissonance.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And I was thinking yesterday, I guess if what I think I could do, like if he's in a mood and I could tell that he's in a mood, I need to come up with something, be like, hey, can you come help me do this? Or hey, like, do you want to go do this? Like, just to try to completely change his situation. Maybe that could help bring him out of it, maybe, instead of what I normally would do, just be like, well, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you upset? Like not, that's not really helping, I've realized,
Yeah, it's
like
kind
you
of that
said.
same energy of like pointing energy and attention about the things that you do not prefer and don't like. And he can feel that. And it's probably making it worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also,
So,
understanding it's not your responsibility to change his mood.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I get why we want to do that, you know what I mean? Especially because I don't fully know all the dynamics between y'all, and sometimes we gotta do that because of safety things. But if it's not that case and it's just like, oh no, I'm just trying to help him that's not your job. Baby,
yeah,
you a working lady, you got kids, you taking care of the house, you doing all this stuff. That is not your job to shift his mood. He needs to come up to where you're at. Like
yeah,
we don't
yeah,
need to go down to where he's at. You need to come up to you. This is why your
yeah,
higher self is like, hey, we need to stop paying him so much mind. Okay,
yeah,
because
okay,
because he is not your child. You don't even need to be doing
yeah,
that for your children. Like
yeah,
I have to tell myself that with my son, like he in a bad mood, it's not my responsibility to get him up out of that. Yeah, like I can do the things that you're saying of like, hey, how about we go do this or why don't we go do that? You know, all these different things. But sometimes they're just in a bad mood and that's not our responsibility to do that because that's taking so much energy and time. Like, okay, well, I'm just
yeah,
gonna go do this and do my high vibe stuff over here. And if you want to come do this with me, great. If not, all right. Don't placate
yeah,
and enable.
yeah, for sure.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go over these notes here. So when I went into your energy field, I heard these voices that were talking, and I said, "Who are y'all?" And they said, "We've been trying to get a hold of Caroline." And I said, "Okay." Like the phone connection wasn't clear. Like they've been trying to ping you. And I said, "Okay." I said, "Who are y'all?" Because there was a group of people, and all of a sudden I saw time spinning backwards and I said, "Oh, are y'all the three fates, the three sisters? Have you ever seen Hercules, the cartoon movie?"
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Okay, there's like three older sisters that are depicted in it, and they're called the Fates, and they're from Greek mythology, not just from Hercules, but like from a lot of different areas in Greek mythos. So their names are Clotho, Laxius, and Atropos, and basically they are over human incarnations, if you will. So Clotho, they have you know those things that spin silk.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Greek mythology, they have a representative of humans like this silk like web, okay, and like they weave it on this thing. Clotho spins it, so she is over birth, and then Laxius measures how long the humans are going to live, and then Atropos cuts it like when it's time for them to end their incarnation.
Oh,
So
wow.
them as a collective have been trying to speak with you and get your attention. So the way that they do this is they start sending us signs and synchronicities, and they're trying to point us in a direction where we will research about them. So there's like certain things that are popping up, like breadcrumbs, if you will. And they're like, she's not picking up on the breadcrumbs. There's too much going on, mental chatter, and she's not paying attention. Okay,
Yeah.
so they wanted me to relay this message to you. Okay, so I'm gonna read it. It says, "Beneath the surface lies a great bit of knowledge. You mustn't overlook what you know to be true. The webs we weave are infinitely blue. What you seek seeks you too. And I said, okay, we're giving very much Dr. Seuss here. I said, what does this mean? Okay. So beneath the surface lies a great bit of knowledge. So this is all making sense now that we talked about what your higher self wanted to talk about. But you have a lot of things that have yet to be awakened. And one of the reasons they haven't been awakened is because we don't have the support team that we need. We're kind of like stuck in our own consciousness and not making the forward movement. Because we don't have enough connectivity. Our outreach is not enough right now. Like that's why your higher self is like, hey, if we had more persons in our life, we could really accelerate on our spiritual awakening journey, and like new things unlock, like gifts and abilities and talents or finances, like all these other forms of abundance. You mustn't overlook what you know to be true. I had a feeling that had to do with your relationship with your husband, and that we have kind of been putting things on the back burner and not been really kind of looking at the shifts that we need to make internally to heal that. And that's kind of what your higher self was talking about, as far as we need to take some of this attention off of him, like stop pointing so much of it at him, because that's only kind of like creating more chaos there. The webs we weave are infinitely blue was representative of infinite possibilities, and what you seek seeks you too is them talking about your new life that you can see on the horizon. And sometimes you feel very stuck in where you're at right now because you have a lot of like 3D things that you're still traversing through, but they're saying like, hey, we need to be paying more attention to our dreams and our goals and our visions, because we know we're capable of achieving those, but we've been kind of like putting ourselves on the back burner for others, kind of like husband that we're talking about right now, and we need to redirect into self. So I was asking them what they could help you with, and they said the lucidity of time, because they said that one of the things that you often say consciously or unconsciously is, I never have enough time, because you're always working, take care of the house and the kids and things like that. Okay. So they want to teach you how time can be a lot more malleable than what you are experiencing currently. Because same for me, when I was back in these other chapters of my life, oh my God, it was like I didn't have enough time to breathe. But now it's like I have so much time to do all of the things, but I had to do a little bit more study about kind of like quantum physics and how time is a construct, is a human construct. And when I started to learn more about that, it really shifted a lot of things in my life, because you can shift identities a lot faster, and you can have a lot more opportunities and experiences come in when you stop looking at time as this very like hard, finite thing. And so I'm going to send you videos about time, but they can also help you with that as well if you want them to mentorship you on that.
Okay. The other day I said that I didn't have the time for something, and then I immediately said, wait, no, I didn't take the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to like, hopefully that's like
Yep.
in the right direction of reframing it. Like, no, the time's there. I didn't take the time to do it,
Take it even further than that. I like just reiterating over your energy field. I have so much time. I'm so blessed with how much time I have. I have
Yeah.
infinite amounts of time,
Yeah.
just in that, like in the positive forward direction, because your subconscious will give you an example. Like it'll make whatever reality that you're saying accurate. So if we're saying I don't have time, I'll be like, okay, let me show you how much time you don't have.
Yeah.
So we have to redirect that and say, like, I'm so blessed with how much time that I have available to me. Time is
Yeah.
infinite. Okay. So I'm going to send you some videos to watch. But if you want to go into meditation and speak with they're known as the Morai or the Three Sisters, they can help you have more insights and downloads and guidance. Or you can simply ask them to give you those things throughout the day, or help you have feelings of how time is lucid and how it's not this hard thing. Like can y'all help me be more in the energy of malleable time? Because they're not going to do anything unless you ask them to, or unless you give them permission. And you don't have to either. Like if you don't want to work with them, don't. Okay. But they can help you in those areas and teach and mentor you. If you want to connect with them on a deeper level, you can do some research about them. Like just type into Google the three fates, the three sisters in Greek mythology, or watch some YouTube videos, and that will help you get more of their energy in your field so that you can hear them more clearly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So after, and I'll send you those videos. After that, I saw you with some binoculars, and then you threw the binoculars on the ground before you even looked through them. And I was like, Caroline, what are you doing? And it was like you were not wanting to look in the future because you were so hyper focused on the now. And then you started busting up all of these rocks underneath of you, like the ground started just like cracking away from itself, and this little green leaf, like little plant, started poking up through the grass, and then you stopped breaking up all of the rocks. And so this is, the rocks are representative of your current identity. Okay, the foundation of your current identity that you're wanting to shift away from. Okay. So you said that's enough for now because you saw the little plant come through. And I was like, Caroline, I said the soil needs to be completely overturned. I said, we really need to bust all this up, okay? And you said that's so much work. And you said, I've been turning the soil over forever. And you said that's what I've had to do to get this little amount of plant growth as it is. And what this was representative of is, okay, so you have had to spend a lot of time sifting through your PTSD and trauma. So you've been having to go so deep into the ground, okay, into your foundations, and do this huge up churning, this up, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, so like turning the soil over to get like a little bit of plant growth at a time. So that's kind of like your dreams and your goals and your visions and like manifestations and things like that. And I said, okay, we are out of that phase. And you even said that at the beginning of the session too, of like, I'm tired of looking at all that stuff. Like I'm just fully accepting who I am in this moment right now. So what you have been doing is, instead of nourishing the little plants at the top of the soil, you have just been going down and grabbing all those roots and pulling them up to where you're at right now, and looking at all this PTSD and trauma over and over and over again. And your higher self is like, please stop doing that. Please stop.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't need to do that. You're creating more work than you need. She said, what we really need to do, because we've already done that really intense work, we just need to overturn the top layer. We don't need to go down that deep. All we need to do is start pouring in love to the seeds that have not quite sprouted yet. And what she means by that is like, hey, Caroline, you're out of the PTSD and trauma phase right now. Okay. There will be other times in your life where you'll need to do that again. But right now it's, I need to invest in my dreams and my goals and my visions of my spirituality in the new earth paradigm and the reality that I'm shifting into. And I need to refocus and recenter on those things and feed more life into them. Because she's saying like there's so many plants that are ready to sprout. But if we're, like we talked about before, giving to everybody and not giving to self, those seeds are not able to sprout. And she was like, it's so much easier to do that type of work than it is grinding on PTSD and trauma. She's like, you're so used to doing that. Where if we would just be a little bit more forward momentum and saying like, I've already done that work. I don't need to do that right now. What I need to do is daydream. What I need to do is be in my imagination and saying, what do I want for my reality? What do I want to do with my magic? What do I want to do for the collective? What do I want to do for myself? Even if you, quote unquote, don't have the time and energy to be investing a lot physically with those goals, what is the harm in daydreaming and imagining? Your higher self is saying we're so focused on what's happening right now that we're not giving ourselves anything to be excited about. There's no like long-term like, oh snap, I'm so excited to be in that reality. Like that Caroline. Like we need to almost like build a bear this next Caroline of like what kind of reality is she living in? What kind of finances does she have? You know, whatever that looks like for you that like gets you super freaking hyped and excited. Your higher self's like, we don't have a depiction of whom that person is right now. So we're kind of grinding our gears of like, okay, well, I'm not making movement right now because obviously I have more PTSD and trauma that I need to look at. And your higher self is like, no, ma'am, that is not the answer. The answer is we need to daydream and imagine where we are headed and what we want in life and reinvest in ourselves. Like we talked about, kind of getting in the spiritual community and the collective a little bit more so that we have people around us who are headed towards similar dreams of like, oh, we're all about to be super magical and in these tribes and like out of these like matrices and all these different things. We need to figure out what that end goal kind of looks like. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes so much sense.
We need a vision beyond the vision. Right now, Caroline's vision is I'm in this new job. I'm opening up to my spiritual gifts. That's great. What's the vision beyond that? Because that stuff's exciting, but it's not super wildly exciting. Because if you are not having something to go after these shorter term visions, then we're not having enough fuel to keep going on the day to day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, what comes up when I say that?
Well, I guess, I don't know, there's like a part of me that is so much just like, I want to help others. Like, I want to help others so bad, but I guess I don't know exactly how I'm doing that. So, in turn, I feel like I've kind of been selfish because, like, well, when you're saying what you've been saying, I've been thinking, oh, well, obviously, I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to be able to go on vacations. Like, we've never really gone on, like, like a week-long vacation, like living that life. Like, that all sounds great. But then I'm thinking again, like, well, how am I going to help people? Because I want to help people.
Okay, let me give you this example. Okay, so in the reality that you want everybody to be living in the whole entire world, do you want them to be able to go on vacations and spend more time with their kids?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that there need to be leaders that show people that that is even possible?
Well, I'd say so.
Okay. Do you think that those leaders that show people that that's possible, do you think that they need to be working or that they have continuously been working on their PTSD and trauma? Not just people who are out here doing all that and haven't and aren't giving back and aren't, healing themselves. Like these are literal like light workers and empaths who have gone into these incredibly deep depths within themselves to clear these things out. Do you think that they are worthy of going on vacation and having fun with their kids?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Sometimes it takes persons like yourself to show people that that is even possible in the first place. That is not a selfish thing. That is showing people, hey, we can all get to this collective together and have these available for us. But what doesn't help people is for you to stay busted down and broken and not go on vacations and not spending time with your kids. Now everybody's just doing that. Like there has to
Yeah.
be leaders on the forefront of like, hey, like I've done the work. Okay. I've done the work and you don't even have to do the work. Like there, well, that's a whole nother chat. Okay. How sometimes we wrap our abundance up in like worthiness and work and things like that. But higher self is saying, like, hey, if you are happy and thriving in your life and you're a very intentional person and you're always helping people, Caroline, when are you not helping people? Where is this? This your higher self is like, where are we trying to get to of like helping people? Like you help people every day. Like maybe it's not in the context that you want to be doing yet, but your higher self is like, hey, you're not some evil rich person that's like doing things that are like nefarious. Like the more money and time and energy that you have, you're just going to be even a bigger outpour of love and compassion. You don't always have to be helping people directly. Like you don't have to be a professional energy healer. You don't have to be a professional coach in order to help in the collective. Like you being happy and having wonderful conversations with people and uplifting them and pouring love and light into them, that's giving back in the collective. You're doing that right now. You're creating a self-imposed restriction on your abundance of like, okay, well, I cannot receive large funds of abundance until I prove my worthiness and help X amount of people in a very specific way. That could take forever because that's a hamster wheel you'll never get off of.
Yeah.
So if you can say right now, I am helping. I help every day. Okay. I help every day. And I am super full of love and joy and compassion and empathy. And it would completely revolutionize my life to allow more abundance to come in to the person I am right now. And with that more abundance comes more opportunities to get into the ways that I want to be helping people more specifically. But I'm not going to weigh my abundance on that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're
I
not
love
saying,
you.
we're not saying, I love you too, Caroline. Your higher self is just saying we're not seeing our true reflection. And if you're not seeing that now, why would you see that in the future either? You'll have the same problems with more money. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're
Yeah.
like, hey, let's fix this and not fix it, but let's see that like, hey, I am, like you said at the beginning of this, I'm exactly who I need to be. I'm on the path. I'm on my most aligned path. I'm headed in the right directions. I'm taking action steps every day. What I'm going to do right now is invest more in myself and my dreams and my goals and my visions and figure out exactly where I want to head. And spending time with your kids and going on vacations is not selfish. That's a right that everybody should have. So if you're telling yourself no, you're sending those vibrations and frequencies out into the collective. And people are feeding on that. If you were sending the vibrations and frequencies out of, yeah, I want to spend time with my kids. I want to go on vacation. I want to live in a really nice home. I want to have an overabundance of finances because that makes me happy. That brings me joy. I want to be helping people exactly how I want to be helping people, and financial abundance, like a lot of financial abundance, allows me to do that. And so that's what I'm going to choose to do. And I'm not going to feel guilty about that. And when you say that, you are a bright, shining example to other empaths and light workers to let go of all that stuff that they don't need either. Of all this guilt and shame of thinking that they're selfish or evil or, whatever. No, we all deserve to have those things. But in order for us to all have them as a collective, because we're all reflections of one another and we're all interconnected, it takes Caroline on an individual level to say, that's what I want. And that's totally fine that I have that because everybody deserves that, including myself. It's not putting you a level above other people. That's what's happened with capitalism, of all these people that are not helping the collective that are in power and have all this money are doing nasty things. That's not you. If all the light workers in the empaths had all the money, we would have like this wildly beautiful existence. But it takes an individual acceptance of, yeah, I am responsible. Yeah, I am self-aware. Yeah, I am always helping people. Yes, I deserve to have this. And so does everybody else that's an empath and a light worker and who's on a self-awareness journey, because we are going to lead everybody into this better paradigm. But it takes people on individual levels sending those frequencies out into the collective instead of coming from a place of disempowerment or guilt or shame or saying like, oh, I'm not worthy of that.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Even if you don't professionally call yourself an energy healer. Caroline, if you had $5 million in the bank and you're just traveling around with the kids all the time, and that's all you were doing, you'd be helping people all the time with the conversations that you're having. I know you would be giving money to all these different charities and like finding projects to get into. Like you're not just going to sit on your couch and not do anything. Like you would be even more involved in the collective like consciousness experience.
Yeah, you're right.
So we need to let that framework of like guilt for our dreams go. Like, yes, I want to be a millionaire. Yes, I want to live in a really nice house. Yes, I want to travel the world with my kids. Okay, there's nothing selfish about that. Because we want that for everybody. And that's the work that you have been doing to release all that PTSD and trauma within you, is so that you can be a leader to show people like, hey, do that, heal yourself, so that we can all get into this reality together. And you're a leading prime example of one of those persons. Like, it's not like you haven't been doing anything. Like you've been like grinding it out on self-awareness so that you can be this leader, but you have to allow yourself to be a leader. You have to allow yourself to upgrade your life without the guilt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what questions do you have?
I don't have any, but this has been the most helpful session I've ever had with you.
Oh yay! Okay, well that's all the work is. It's because you have gotten yourself here. It's I don't have anything to do with me. I'm just a channeler for your higher self and a mirror reflection of you. I am just a different version of you, right? So
Yeah.
the whole me talking to you right now, Caroline, because I know that you understand this, is I'm you reverberating back to you how much work you've done. So because this is the most impactful session, is because you have done the most impact on yourself. So your higher self's
Yeah.
like, yay! we stop doing all that PTSD and trauma work and just go
Yeah.
find some spiritual friends, and then it will work itself out. Like that, she's
Yeah.
literally like, it's literally that easy. Okay, she's like, it's so easy, and
Yeah.
also realizing it's not selfish to want the things that you want. That's it.
Okay.
She's like easy peasy lemon squeezy, because other readings that we've done, Caroline, it's like, hey, you need to look at this and this and this and this and this. So she's like, actually, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. And just go find some spiritual friends and release the guilt. Okay.
Uh, okay. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
So what was your biggest takeaway today?
Definitely about just accepting support from other people. Like I felt the energetic block when we first started talking about it, and then I literally felt it be lifted. Like that's what I'm saying. Like this, I already feel better, but yeah, that's definitely the biggest takeaway.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. I am going to send you your oracle cards and your crystal grid, and then I'll send you the replay, and I'm going to hit pause on recording really quick.